Howdy folks, welcome back to War Thunder with the mighty Jingles. A couple of days ago I put my first impressions of patch 1.29 up, and a couple of you saw a Gloster Meteor or two sneakily hidden away in the back of my hangar. Yep, rank 17 in the British Air Force. I have two jets now, the Gloster Meteor and the Sea Meteor. Unfortunately, getting jets isn't all it's cracked up to be in this game. First of all, this clip is 2 days old, so patch 1.29 has already been hotfixed, so this is already out of date. Flight models have been tweaked, everything's more manoeuvrable in arcade now, it's a lot less like flying a historical battle. The damage models have been tweaked, and so on, and so on, and so on. So this is already out of date, unfortunately. This was the second game that I played flying jets. The first game was utter garbage. I sat in a queue for 5 minutes, and they eventually found a game for me. Half of the enemy team were AI bots. It had to literally throw AI in just to put two teams together, and even then there were only 4 real pilots on each side. So flying jets really isn't all it's cracked up to be. Now, those of you who've been in games with jets before, even if you haven't been flying the jets, and most of you probably have, you're going to recognise a familiar pattern here. Jet pilots always climb to 3,000 metres, they circle, they look for a target, they wait till you're looking the other way, they dive on you, unleash their cannons, blow you away, zoom out before anybody can do anything about it, and by the time you've turned your plane around to chase them, they're already a kilometre away and 1,000 feet higher than you, and you've got no chance of catching them. Well, that's the way you have to play a jet. The Gloster Meteor F3 and the Sea Meteor F3, the two that you get at rank 17, they're not great. They're well armed and they're fast, but they're not the fastest, and they're not the best armed. But while the Gloster Meteors are apparently among the most manoeuvrable of the jets in the game, there's a world of difference between a manoeuvrable jet and a manoeuvrable prop-driven aircraft. You don't want to be getting into dogfights in these things. If you were to dive on somebody in a jet, miss him, and then turn around and try to dogfight with him, they'll just hand you your arse. You'll never be able to stay on their tail. You're going too fast, you're turning circles too wide. Another thing you never want to do in a jet is get into a head-on pass with someone. Why hand them the opportunity to shoot you down? I mean, you should never get into a head-on pass with anybody, but certainly not in a jet. These things are too bloody expensive. So, you know, of course, now that I've said that, the next thing you're going to see me do is getting into a head-on pass with somebody in a jet. In fact, I think it's another jet. And this is just stupid. Yep, there's a MiG. Oh, Cameron's better than him. But, you know, it's a lottery. Taking a big chance. Throwing away all your advantages. And again, I got lucky. So I'm definitely not using this thing to its strengths. But here's the thing, I do better with dogfighters than I do with energy fighters. I'm just... Oh, that, by the way, was a rank 1. Yeah, you were. Your eyes were not deceiving you. That was actually a reserve Japanese biplane. No, that's not a screwed up matchmaker. That guy is a jet pilot who has deliberately included one of those in his lineup, and he's done it so he can just take that thing up. Doesn't care if it gets shot down, and he's scouting basically. That's exactly what he's doing. He's checking out the opposition, seeing who the threat is, seeing what sort of game he's gotten himself into, and that, in a couple of seconds, is going to be my first kill. But I was talking about dogfighting, and there we go, first kill. Dogfighting is not what you do in jets. I don't know, maybe in a game where it's just jets, you know, where there's Sabres and MiGs and Comets and KI-200s and Gloucesters, or maybe then, I don't know. I haven't had the opportunity to play that kind of game. I imagine it's probably going to be lots of people in very expensive aircraft warily circling each other waiting for somebody to blink first. But I have no experience of that. Come on. Hit him. And I'm going too fast. So use that speed climb up. Somebody else is on his ass, let him finish him off. So where were we? Yeah, jet combat. It's those of you who love the British and the Japanese, you're probably going to be disappointed when you get your hands on these things, because you have to suddenly start learning a completely different method of fighting. Jets are energy fighters. They have superior energy to all prop aircraft. They're energy fighters, and if you haven't learned how to play an energy fighter by playing the Americans or the Germans, you're going to have a real dose of culture shock when you come to get your hands on one of these things. And you'll probably do what I do and keep trying to get the thing into dogfights. You know, you'll do this energy fighting business because your head's telling you this is the way to use a jet. And then after 4 or 5 minutes of it, you'll just start getting bored. And you'll start trying to get into dogfights. And you'll get your dumbass shot down. Or you can try and get lucky 3 times out of 3 and go into a head-on pass with a Focke-Wulf 190 and have that done to you. So it's fairly safe to say I'm not a very good jet pilot. But you get 2 of these things at rank 17. The Gloster Meteor F3 and the Sea Meteor F3. Now, I've heard that the Meteor F4 is the most manoeuvrable jet in the game, so that does kind of bode well for when more people reach these higher ranks and more people are using jets in arcade battles. Never taken one of these up in a historical battle yet. I'm going to have to give that a try. But as I mentioned earlier, it's entirely possible that this could be the jet that you want to be in if you're in an all-jet game. Due to the fact that they're allegedly the most manoeuvrable jets around. So far I've come up against F-86 Sabres, MiG-9s, MiG-15s, other Gloster Meteors. That's pretty much it. Possibly ME-163s. I don't remember seeing one of them in a jet game. I've come up against them before when I'm flying Spitfires, which is never pleasant. And that guy actually puts his fire out. I'm turning around trying to get him, somebody else nails him. You can definitely run rings around bombers in one of these things. Well, German bombers and British bombers anyway, and American bombers. You probably want to stay away from the Russian bombers, they'll outmaneuver you. But you don't want to be getting into dogfights with prop aircraft. Even the energy fighter prop aircraft will turn inside you if you try to come down to their level, because they just don't go as fast. This was actually quite an amusing game. This fella I'm about to just humiliate on the airstrip. He was a really, really good player. He saw this coming, he was like, oh, you're not gonna... you ass, Jingles. But coming down here got me into trouble. I'm taking hits from flak, but it's nothing serious. But here's the thing about the 2 air bases on both sides. Right, look at this. I've split myself up from the... I've made myself a target. And these 2 air bases... I'm powering out of here. But I'm not going to be able to get away. Because these 2 air bases on Crater are so near the edge of the map that if you try to power away from them, you run into the return to battlefield warning. And... oh, crap. And here's the thing, if you don't immediately, because these things go so fast, you've got time to think about what you're going to do if you're driving a prop-driven aircraft. You fly one of these things and you think, screw it. Alright, I'll start turning. Too slow. Too slow. And what happens here is it puts you back at cruising speed, pointing in the direction of all the bad guys coming towards you. Oh god. And then I get utterly raped by a Yak 1. I think I managed to put the fire out, but it's not looking good. And I can't get away fast enough. there's other jets chasing after me. So I'm running for friends here. Get these guys off me. But I'm just not going to make it. And I think to myself, well, I heard that the Meteor is quite manoeuvrable. So I turn around to, yeah, it's not that manoeuvrable. So there you go, down 2 jets. Killed a Mustang and some crappy bomber for the price of 2 Gloster Meteors. Not exactly a fair change. Oh, that guy crying in chat, he was hilarious. You got to see what he comes out with later on in this mission. Now this was the other nasty surprise I got when patch 1.29 came out. There were a number of aircraft that have received new flight models. The Hawker Tempest is one of them. They have destroyed this aircraft. It flies like a B-17. Prior to 1.29, the Hawker Tempest wasn't bad. I only had a couple of games with it because I didn't have it that far before patch 1.29. But it played exactly as you would expect it to, like a bigger, heavier, faster Hawker Typhoon. And it was alright, it was exactly what you expected of it. Patch 1.29 and this finalised flight model, what the hell have they done to this thing? Just... it is bloody awful. Now I haven't played it again since the patch 1.29 hotfix came out. So it's... and the patch 1.29 hotfix did make all aircraft more manoeuvrable in arcade, but this thing couldn't have been less manoeuvrable in arcade prior to the hotfix. Look at this, just the trouble I'm having trying to point the nose at a target. It flies like a friggin' bathtub. And I don't know if any of you BF-109 pilots have noticed something similar with some of the models of the BF-109. I can't remember which one it was I flew. Put my Germans up for a game, again, before the patch 1.29 hotfix. And I forget which one it was. It was the G2. I think I was flying the BF-109 G2 and it felt like the controls were encased in concrete. The thing just would not turn. I mean, I know it's supposed to be an energy fighter, but somebody's taking the piss. The Hawker Tempest is worse. It was just unbelievable. So bad. What they've done to this, seriously, I would not piss on this plane if it was on fire. It is garbage. But it wasn't like this prior to 1.29. They've given it, allegedly, a proper flight model. That's the guy I killed on the runway. He got his revenge. He was a good player. I think, and you guys can skip back. I mean, I'm just blabbing on here, speaking into the microphone, but I'm pretty sure that was the guy who took his Japanese biplane up just to check out the opposition at the start of the game. He's a smart player. Well, I'm down to the Spitfires. I've got a Lancaster I could take into the air as well. You know, if I was feeling especially suicidal. So, we're going jet hunting in the Spitfire. It's the Mark 5C, 4 20mm cannons. This actually wasn't a bad game, you know. After I finished failing in the jets, it actually got quite good. So, do take what I'm saying in this video with a slight pinch of salt. Just remember that this clip is 2 days old and the 1.29 hotfix is out. Technically it's patch 1.29.3 and has changed the way a lot of things work, particularly in arcade. Bombers are a lot more durable now. Seriously durable. I mean, you saw when I took the Lancaster up and that BF-109 G6 just obliterated it. Just by pummeling shots into my fuselage. You didn't hit anything critical. The plane just ripped apart in midair. Well, that does not happen anymore. If you don't hit a critical spot on a bomber, You can pump them full of 20mm cannon shells in the fuselage all day and they will just keep on flying. That's the thing about Gaijin. And I can't speak with a great deal of experience here. I haven't been playing this game for 3 months. But they always go from one extreme to the other. I mean, bombers were too fragile, and now it's like they're made out of concrete. You just can't kill the bloody things. Yeah, well, I know, we wanted bombers not to die so easily, but you don't have to make them into flying tanks. You know, there's a middle ground, guys. You just need to find it. And it's a beta test. You know, this is what it's for. Everybody complains, oh, they should have tested this, but okay. This is what we're playing. We are playing one big test server. You know, people complain, oh, they should have tested this before they put it on the live server. There is no live server. It's all one big test server. That's what we're doing. It's a global beta test. There's no test server that they, you know, that people test them on before they come out live. There's a development server where they build it. What we're playing is the test server. So, you know, things can, will, and are going to change. It just feels at the moment like the developers have got no idea what they're doing. The bombers, for example, you know, made out of tissue paper one day, made out of, like, flying solid concrete blocks the next. I'm sure in the next patch they're going to be, you know, they're going to find a middle ground somewhere. Remember, this is still just one big test server that we're all playing on. People need to remember that. And I've been just as guilty of criticising the developers in the past myself. And, you know, you need to just take a bit of a reality check and remember that we're playing a beta test. They put these things out in order to test them. Hopefully, things like the Hawker Tempest's flight model is not finished, because it's just unflyable. It's an absolute nightmare. It's like flying a block of concrete. I've noticed that of the B-25s as well. Some of the other new aircraft that came out in 1.29. The B-25 Mitchells, they're like flying ice cream cakes. They're just trying to get the nose pointed. It's like a really, really lumbering bow fighter. And yet, you look at the Germans, the Dornier 217s. I've been flying fighters and had those things stay on my tail, unable to shake them off. You know, it's my earlier point. They seem to go from one extreme to the other, with no middle ground. Like the economy, the prices for and the amount that it cost you to repair your aircraft prior to 1.29 was ridiculous, in the majority of cases. And the length of time it took to repair certain aircraft was off the bloody charts as well. So they totally slashed that in 1.29, which was great. But then they increased the amount that it cost to buy a new aircraft by 10, and they slashed the amount of credits that you earned. But it was weird the way... What you'd expect in a game like this, with 20 ranks of aircraft, is for your tier 1 to, say, 8 aircraft to be profitable. Your tier 9 to, say, 14 aircraft to be break-even. And your tier 15 to 20 aircraft to run at a loss. And that's the standard sort of economic model that usually runs in these sort of free-to-pay games. Free-to-play, sorry. To encourage you that if you're going to stick with the game and you know, commit a lot of time to it, then the further in it you go, you will start investing some money in a premium account, or maybe buying some gold, and so on and so on and so on. That seems to be the standard business model. What Gaijin seem to have done is they've looked at how many people are playing and seen that the majority of people are playing in tiers 6 to 10. And they've made that the unprofitable part. Yeah, so, I don't know. We shall have to see how things pan out. You know, as I said, just remember we are all playing on one big test server. If it ain't going to work out, I'm sure they'll change it. I know there's a lot of unhappy pilots out there. Come on. Come on. There we go. There's another unhappy pilot. Haha, screw you, Ivan. Or was that the German one? Oh, I don't know. These Russian planes all look the same. So we're doing alright here. Have I got more kills in the Spitfire than I did in both of the Gloster Meteors? Flying against... oh, I don't know. It's just, you know, it just goes to show I'm just more comfortable flying this kind of aircraft, and it's probably not going to come as a massive amount of culture shock to those of you who fly the Germans or the Americans, because you're going to be used to energy fighter tactics. But the Brits and the Japanese pilots, you're going to have to change your play style when you hit rank 17, certainly for the British. I do love this aircraft though. It's not the fastest in the game. Oh, there's another kill. Yeah, it ain't the fastest in the game. It ain't the most manoeuvrable. It ain't the best armed. But it's kind of like the M26 Pershing. Tier 8 American medium tank in World of Tanks. There's nothing bad about it. Everything about it is pretty good, and there is no bad side to it. Which, as a package, just makes it a great plane. When I got this thing at rank 12, well, when I reached rank 12, I actually went a couple of days without realising I could get this thing, because it's tucked away with the other Mark 5 Spitfires behind a pop-out tab. So I bought the Mark 16 at rank 12, and I was flying that thinking, oh, this is alright. Totally didn't realise this thing was available until somebody pointed it out and said, Jingles, what do you think of the Mark 5 now that you're rank 12? What Mark 5? Quickly had a look in the research tree. Oh, that Mark 5. Oh, yeah, it's great. It's great. Shit, let's get a few games claimed quick. I think I got away with it. Right, who do they have left? Oh, that Yanker guy. He was screaming jets suck at the beginning. Oh, he goes full on nerd rage later on in this. At me as well. Oh, it's hilarious. You got to see it. Okay, now this is that guy I was talking about earlier in the Sea Meteor. Now, I don't know what sort of damage he sustained here, but he seems to be unable to get away from me. And the Spitfire isn't that fast. Although I do build up some good speed in the dive with wartime emergency power built up, but I don't know if he had a damaged engine or something. But he wasn't able to pull away from me, so he did what he could. He led me back over the enemy airfield, let flak give me trouble. But he just didn't seem to be able to pull away from me, and he's basically gotten himself in the same situation that I was in earlier when I lost my Sea Meteor. Now this is something that does wind me up about War Thunder. I'm on this guy's arse for a minute, pumping 20mm cannon shells into him. I actually expend all of my ammunition, just chipping away at this guy. I'll have to go for a reload and then start shooting at him again. So I've basically killed him, and I've done it alone, and I've critted him, and now I'm out of ammo and I've got to go for a reload. And then somebody else swoops in, fires one burst, and takes the kill. And I get a crappy XP award for an assist. And I did all the work. And this is not an isolated incident. And I don't understand why they cannot just give the kill to the person who did the most damage. But anyway, it is what it is, and if enough people complain about it, it might change. In the meantime, this guy in the BF-109, this is the guy who's going to throw all of his toys out the pram in a minute when I shoot him down. Now note, old 10th Niab behind me, he hasn't wasted any time, he's jumped out of his Meteor and he's straight in another fighter. But I learnt my lesson the hard way. I'm staying on this guy's ass until he goes down. I am not having this kill taken off me. And wait till you see him start raging in chat. Tenth Niab's about to get his revenge though. Here he comes. hit him, but I don't do anything critical, and he takes my engine out, and Flak finishes me off. He does get the kill, though. At least he does get the kill for it. He deserved it. Now, check out chat here. This is brilliant. Look at that. If you're watching this in lower resolution, it's Jingles, the fat no-life nerd, get a life, fat retard. I think I might have hurt his feelings. Oh dear. I mean, this guy had been raging the whole game, but now I've given him a target for his aggression. Because I shot him down in my Spitfire. See what else he comes up with. It didn't end there, he kept going. He kept going so hard, even his own team started trolling him. Oh, what's he saying there? Go and play with my mother's anal plug. It's inventive. I probably shouldn't have said this because it sent him into a frothing rage. Oh man. Oh, yeah, this game's pretty much over. Old 10th Naiad there. He's the last one left, and we're basically coming at him 8-1. But I'll tell you what, he put up one hell of a fight. So, offer a quick congratulations to Naiad there. I actually thought that was the last aircraft he had, but I think he might have one more. And, you know, fair play to this guy. 8 of us versus 1 of him. There. He doesn't quit. He jumps right into that bow fighter and comes after us. What a player. Now, he stands no chance. He doesn't have a hope in hell. There's 8 of us. He's the only one left on his team, but he will not. He doesn't just quit. He jumps right into that bow fighter and comes and has a go. So, hey, well done to him. Yanka's still raging that I'm a fat no-life nerd who just sits in front of the PC all day and plays computer games. And you know what? He's right. I am. And it's great. I get paid for doing this. Being me's fantastic. Oh dear. So let's have a look at the results. Yeah, that was a pretty decent game. I mean, you know, lost 4 aircraft, killed a ground target, 8 air kills. Not bad. How did Mr. Yanka do? Oh well, better luck next time. That's just nasty. And, you know, the weird thing is, despite the fact that this being my first decent jet fighter game, look at that. I got more airtime and more kills in the Spitfire than I did in both jets combined. Jets aren't all they're cracked up to be, folks. They're going to take some getting used to if you haven't flown them before. And I'm just not used to them yet. So anyway, that was my first proper run out in the Gloster Meteor F3 and the Sea Meteor F3. Hope you enjoyed the match. It was a lot of fun to play. There were some really, really good players on the other team, good sportsmen, and it was a fun game. As always, folks, watch your 6, and I'll catch you next time.